Hello, my lovelies. Today we're reading the book Creole, a book written by Stephen Cosgrove and illustrated by Robin James. And we have Mr. Skookum here to join us. Hello! Beyond the horizon in the middle of the crystal sea was a beautiful island called Serendipity. There were forests and meadows and much, much more. More magical than most was the Weaselana swamp. It was a foggy, foggy morning. Deep in this swamp, from a bumpy, speckled egg, Creole was born. She was big and very, very ugly. She had warts on her fingers, warts on her toes, bony, pointed knees, and a big beak of a nose. But beneath all of that, which made her seem so ugly, was the most beautiful heart that had ever beat anywhere on the island of Serendipity. Because of her beautiful heart, Creole thought the most beautiful thoughts that could ever be thought. She was gentle as a butterfly's wing because her heart was as tender as could be. Day in and day out, she would sit alone, sniffing the flowers and talking softly to the trees that grew in the swamp. One day, as she was sitting beneath the large knobby-knot tree, Creole whispered gently to the wind, "Maybe I should share all of my lovely thoughts of joy and happiness with the other animals that live in the swamp. Maybe that would be a good thing to do." So with that in mind, she waddled off to find some of her fellow creatures with whom she could share her love and friendship. But it was not as simple as Creole had hoped it would be. As noisy as that swamp could be with all the animals living there, it would fall into a silent hush as Creole walked by. The birds stopped singing, the possums played dead, and the alligators all slipped away. For, you see, they thought that because she was so ugly, Creole just had to be mean too. Creole looked and looked, but nowhere could she find a single creature to share her thoughts and her friendship. Soon it became very apparent that all the other creatures were hiding from her, as if they were playing some mean-spirited game. Finally, after looking and looking, she sat with a heavy thump on an old rotten stump, while watermelon tears slipped down her cheeks. "Why does everyone run away?" she softly sobbed. "All I want is someone to share my thoughts with, someone that could become my friend." Large, oily tears rolled down her cheeks, over her belly, and finally landed with a wet kerplunk on the head of a tiny baby alligator sitting just below. He looked up and saw Creole's knee, and then her big, knobby body, and her massive head. Surprisingly, the little gator didn't run away. Instead, he stuttered, "Why are you crying on me?" Creole looked down at the little creature sitting beside her. "I am so sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't know you were down there. The last thing I would ever want to do would be to hurt someone." Wiping a tear from her eye, Creole realized that the little alligator had not run away. She cocked her head and asked curiously, "Why didn't you run away like everyone else? Don't you think I'm ugly and mean?" "I didn't run away because I want someone to talk to," the little gator said. "The others in the swamp all laugh at me because I stutter." Creole looked down and smiled. "I would never laugh at you." In a flash of understanding, they both realized they were exactly what each had been looking for, a friend. For the longest of times, the two friends sat talking and talking about this and that. They talked and talked like good friends are wont to do. And then they talked some more. "It's too bad you and I don't have more friends to share our thoughts with," Creole sighed. "I wondered what we could do to convince the others not to laugh at you and not to be afraid of me." There was no ready answer, and so for a while they sat there like two bumps on a log. Finally, Creole clapped her hands. "I know what we can do. I'll hide behind a big bush, and you can stand in front. When all the creatures have gathered around, I will tell you what to say. They won't run away because they can't see me. I will whisper wonderful things for you to say." Reluctantly, the tiny alligator agreed. Creole carefully hid behind a thick-leafed bush and gently pushed a very frightened alligator into the clearing. The alligator timidly called out for all the creatures of the swamp to gather around. He was so scared that had it not been for Creole holding him in place, he would have skittered away to hide. Please, he stuttered. They all will laugh at the way I talk. Not to worry, little friend, she whispered, pushing him back into the clearing. I'll tell you what to say. Now the other creatures on the swamp, not seeing Creole, came out from hiding to hear what the little alligator had to say. When all were gathered about, the little gator carefully repeated all the wonderful things that Creole whispered from the bush. He spoke of the beauty of an early morning dawn and the miraculous glow of sunset that illuminated the swamp. He talked of love and, most of all, friendship. No one laughed at all. The creatures of the swamp were amazed at what the little gator said and how clearly he said it. For, you see, when the little alligator was confident about what he said, he didn't stutter at all. Everything would have been fine had it not been for the nosy blue snake that happened to sneak a peek behind the bush where Creole was hiding. Panicked, the snake began to slither away. "Run!" it hissed. "The ugly, mean creature is behind the bush. Run for your lives or be eaten." Creole reared up like a monster in a scary movie. "Wait, wait," she cried out. "I'm not going to hurt you. We just want to be your friends." But the others were far too frightened by what they thought they saw, and they quickly ran away. Without hesitation, the little alligator chased after the others, shouting in a very crisp, clear voice, "Come back, come back. Her name is Creole. She is a wonderful creature who wouldn't harm flea or fly. Come back." The others, who by this time were well hidden behind bush and brush, wouldn't listen. It would have ended this way, just the way it began, save for an old white heron flopping about at the top of the knobby knot tree. The heron actually listened to what the little alligator was saying. "It is pretty amazing," drawled the heron. "Creole has cured the little alligator of his stutter." Sure enough, during all the fuss and flutter, the little gator hadn't even stuttered, not even a single word. The swamp folk crept from their hiding places and cautiously moved back to the clearing where Creole and the little alligator were waiting. Creole, with a tear dripping down her beak, spoke softly to all of them about her love and tenderness that was stored in her soul. And then the most amazing thing occurred, for as Creole spoke, she was wrapped in the beauty that poured from her heart. The others listened. As they listened, they saw Creole in a new light, a light that glowed from the inside out. Truly, she wasn't ugly at all. One by one, they all crowded around. Each and every one gave Creole the warmest of serendipity hugs as they graced each other with friendship. Never judge a book by the way it's covered, for written on the pages there's much to be discovered. Wasn't that an amazing story? Mr. Skookum and I agree. Never judge a book by its cover. Bye!